All right, you beautiful degenerates, buckle up because today we're diving headfirst into a real clusterfuck. The Chinese Civil War.
Yeah, so basically think Game of Thrones.
But with way more bloodshed.
A lot more bloodshed.
And dumplings.
Yeah, and way more dumplings. We're going to unpack the whole power struggle between the Kuomintang.
The KMT.
Yeah, the KMT and the Chinese Communist Party.
The CCP.
The CCP, that's right, and how this whole shebang, shaped modern China and Taiwan as we know it today.
Okay, so picture this China in the early 20th century.
Early 1900s.
The Qing dynasty just went belly up.
Kaput.
And the country's a goddamn free-for-all.
Yeah, basically it's just anarchy.
Warlords running amok.
Everywhere.
Like a pack of rabid dogs fighting over scraps.
Yeah, essentially China was fragmented. There's no strong central authority whatsoever.
Right, so it's basically like a bunch of toddlers,
Yeah.
a playpen,
Yeah.
just like whacking each other with toys.
Pretty much.
So enter the KMT,
Yeah, led by this dude, Sun Yat-sen.
trying to reunite the country and establish a republic. They're all about democracy and shit.
Well, they're trying to be.
But they're struggling to gain traction.
Yeah, they're having a tough time.
So, like any desperate dude in a tight spot,
Right.
they turn to the most unlikely sugar daddy,
Who's that?
the Soviet Union.
Oh, yeah. The USSR, talk about a match made in hell.
Right.
So the Soviets, right, they were in their early revolutionary fervor,
Yeah, they just had their revolution.
Exactly. So they saw an opportunity to spread that communist gospel to a massive country right for the picking.
Right for the communist picking.
Exactly. They provided the KMT with military aid advisors.
Trying to nudge them towards the glorious communist path.
Well, that was the hope anyway.
Yeah, and that's where the CCP, these scrappy up-and-comers,
Yeah.
enter the picture.
That's right.
And they're like, hey, we hate the KMT's guts,
Yeah.
but we also hate these warlord assholes.
Yeah.
Let's team up and kick some ass.
Right. It was this bizarre alliance of convenience.
The first united
The first
front.
united front born out of necessity rather than, any genuine camaraderie. Right.
I mean, the KMT and the CCP, they were like two scorpions in a bottle.
yeah.
They were bound to turn on each other eventually.
And boy, did they ever turn.
Oh, yeah.
The KMT, under this ruthless dude, Chiang Kai-shek,
Chiang Kai-shek, yeah.
decided to purge the communists in this insane bloodbath called the Shanghai Massacre.
Oh, yeah, this was brutal.
Right.
I mean, Chiang saw the CCP as a direct threat to his authority and the KMT's vision for China, right?
Yeah, so he's like, fuck these communist motherfuckers. I'm gonna wipe them out.
Pretty much. Shanghai Massacre was a brutal display of power.
Brutal.
It decimated the CCP's ranks and shattered any pretense of unity between these two parties.
Yeah, talk about a backstabbing motherfucker.
Yeah.
But hold on. Right after this massacre, the KMT launches this northern expedition to mop up the remaining warlords.
Yeah.
Ballsy move.
The Northern Expedition was surprisingly successful.
Oh, yeah.
Like, unified most of China under KMT rule.
So they're like, okay, we just slaughtered our supposed allies.
But now we're all about national unity.
Right.
The hypocrisy was astounding.
Oh, it was unbelievable. So the KMT are thinking they've won, right?
Yeah.
They've got the big cities, the fancy uniforms, the whole 9 yards.
Right, they're feeling themselves.
They are feeling themselves. Meanwhile, the CCP have been kicked to the curb, bleeding out in the dirt.
Right. Game over.
Not quite.
Wow.
The CCP, battered but not broken, retreated to the rural countryside.
Smart.
They adopted guerrilla tactics, hit-and-run raids,
Yeah.
and they started winning over the pissed-off peasantry.
Yeah, those farmers were pissed.
They were pissed.
They were getting fucked over.
Exactly. And the CCP came in and they promised land reform.
Yeah, give those peasants some land.
Exactly. An end to exploitation.
Yeah,
Stick it to the man.
clever bastards.
Yeah.
Playing the Robin Hood card.
Exactly.
While Chiang's busy sipping champagne with his fancy pants buddies.
Oh, yeah. Living the high life.
The CCP's out there building a grassroots army of pissed off farmers.
Yeah.
This is where things get really interesting, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Enter Mao Zedong.
Mao Zedong, the ultimate communist badass.
This guy was a legend.
Oh, he was a brilliant strategist and a ruthless son of a bitch.
I mean, you got to be ruthless to make it in this game, right?
Absolutely. He understood the power of propaganda.
Yeah.
And he knew how to exploit the KMT's weaknesses.
Yeah.
And under his leadership, the CCP transformed from this ragtag bunch of rebels into a formidable fighting force.
Yeah.
They were a force to be reckoned with.
And then comes the Long March.
Ah, yes, the Long March.
This insane odyssey that would make even Bear Grylls shit his pants.
Oh, absolutely.
We're talking 12,500 kilometers on foot.
On foot, through mountains, swamps, deserts, the whole goddamn buffet of shitty terrain.
Right.
The Long March was a testament to the CCP's resilience,
It was nuts.
their ability to endure unimaginable hardship. It was a crucible that forged their spirit and solidified Mao's leadership.
Right, because if you can survive that, you can survive anything.
Exactly.
Damn, these guys were hardcore.
They were tough.
I get winded walking to the fridge.
I hear you.
Can you imagine marching for a year, constantly dodging KMT bullets?
Yeah. Talk about commitment to the cause.
It was a brutal test of survival.
It was.
And only a fraction of those who started the march actually made it to the end.
It's true, but it became a cornerstone of CCP mythology, the symbol of their unwavering determination.
Yeah, like, we survived this shit. Nothing can stop us now.
Exactly.
So they've got the motivation, they've got the leadership.
They've got the momentum.
Things are about to get really fucking interesting.
Oh yeah, the stage is set for round 2 of this epic showdown.
Stay tuned, you magnificent bastards.
Yeah.
Because shit's about to hit the fan.
It's gonna be wild.
All right, you beautiful degenerates. Let's pick up where we left off. The CCP just pulled off the Long March, a feat of endurance that would make a marathon runner shit their pants.
Oh yeah.
So what happens next in this shit show? Do they kick backpack, crack open a few cold ones, and celebrate their survival?
Not a fucking chance. Just when the CCP catches their breath, Japan decides to invade China in 1937, kicking off the Second Sino-Japanese War. Talk about bad timing.
Oh shit. So two sworn enemies, the KMT and the CCP, suddenly have a common enemy. Did they bury the hatchet and become best buds? Share some war stories over a campfire, sing kumbaya?
Fuck no. They formed this uneasy alliance called the Second United Front, but let's be real, it was more like a temporary truce between two guys who desperately wanted to kill each other. The tension was thicker than a bowl of Chinese dumplings.
So they're fighting the Japanese, but they're also side-eyeing each other, just waiting for the right moment to stick a knife in the back? Talk about a fucked up love triangle.
The KMT, backed by the Americans, focused on conventional warfare against the Japanese, while the CCP, masters of guerrilla tactics, used the opportunity to expand their influence in rural areas. It was a strategic game of chess, with both sides trying to outmaneuver the other while pretending to be buddies.
Sounds like a recipe for disaster, or at least a whole lot of passive-aggressive bullshit. So the war ends. Japan gets their ass kicked, and everyone's supposed to go back to being enemies again. What the hell happened?
As soon as the dust settled in 1945, the fragile truce between the KMT and the CCP went up in smoke faster than a bowl of opium. They were back at each other's throats, fighting for control of China, like a couple of rabid honey badgers.
Round 2, bitches.
Ding, ding, ding.
But this time, the stakes are even higher. We're talking about the future of fucking China. Billions of lives hanging in the balance. Shit just got real.
The CCP had learned a lot from their years fighting the Japanese and had solidified their support among the peasantry. They were a lean, mean fighting machine fueled by ideology and a burning desire for revenge.
Meanwhile, the KMT, despite having American support and all the fancy weapons, were plagued by corruption, hyperinflation, and a general sense of complacency. They were like the fat, lazy kid who used to bully everyone in school, but suddenly got his ass kicked by the skinny nerd.
The KMT's weaknesses became the CCP's strength. The communists were disciplined, motivated, and they had the support of the people. They swept across China, capturing major cities like it was a goddamn shopping spree.
And the Americans, were they just sitting back munching popcorn and watching the show?
The U.S. poured billions of dollars into supporting the KMT, but it was like trying to plug a dam with a toothpick. The tide had turned, and there was no stopping the communist wave.
So basically, the KMT fucked themselves, and the CCP capitalized on their every mistake. By 1949, the communists were partying in Beijing, while Chiang Kai-shek and his cronies were fleeing to Taiwan with their tails between their legs.
The fall of mainland China to the communists was a seismic event sending shockwaves across the globe. The Cold War was in full swing, and the rise of a communist superpower in Asia terrified the West.
Talk about a major power shift. The commies had won, and the world would never be the same.
Okay, so we've talked about all the political maneuvering and military campaigns and all that jazz, but what about the regular folks caught in the middle of this whole shit show?
Right, the people on the ground, what was it like for them living through this goddamn apocalypse?
Imagine China just a giant mosh pit for 3 decades straight.
A mosh pit.
Cities getting bombed, villages ransacked, families torn apart like a wet tissue. It was a time of absolute chaos and fear where you didn't know who to trust or if you'd even see the next sunrise.
Fuck, man, that sounds bleak as hell. I get anxious just thinking about missing a meal, let alone dodging bombs and trying to keep my family alive.
Yeah, it was a whole other level of survival mode. For most people, it was a daily struggle just to get by.
Right.
Food shortages, disease, displacement, all while constantly looking over your shoulder for the next stray bullet or political purge.
So it was basically a living hell.
It was brutal.
Damn, I can't even imagine. Did anyone come out of this smelling like roses?
Not a fucking chance. Every family had its own horror stories, lost loved ones, and scars that ran deeper than the Yangtze River.
So basically everyone got fucked over in one way or another.
Pretty much.
But were there any, like, bright spots in all this darkness?
Yeah. Amidst all the bloodshed and bullshit, there were these glimmers of hope, you know?
Oh, okay.
People helping each other out, risking their necks to protect their neighbors, finding ways to laugh and love in the face of pure insanity.
So, like, even when the world's gonna shit, humans find a way to be, well, human.
Exactly. It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can be tough as nails. People adapted, they coped, they found ways to keep going, even when it felt like everything was falling apart.
That's actually kind of beautiful in a fucked up way. So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've seen empires crumble, ideologies clash, and a whole lot of people die for causes they might not have even understood. What's the fucking point?
Yeah.
What can our listeners, besides being entertained by our witty banter, take away from all this historical carnage?
I think the Chinese Civil War, like any good bloodbath, is a lesson in the dangers of unchecked ambition, fanaticism, and the sheer stupidity of war. It shows how easily things can spiral out of control when ideology trumps common sense, and how the people always end up paying the price.
So basically, don't be a dick, try not to start any wars, and be kind to each other, because you never know when shit might hit the fan.
That's a surprisingly eloquent summation. But seriously, history repeats itself because we're too busy reliving the same stupid mistakes.
Right.
The Chinese Civil War is a stark reminder that we need to learn from the past, even the bloody and fucked up parts, if we want to avoid repeating it.
Well said, my friend.
Oh.
And on that uplifting note, we're wrapping up our deep dive into the Chinese Civil War. We hope you learned a thing or two, had a few laughs, and maybe even shed a tear or two for the millions caught in the crossfire.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and remember history might be a bitch.
But it's the only one we've got.
And that's a wrap, you magnificent bastards.
Yeah.
Go forth and spread the knowledge, but maybe skip the whole Civil War thing, all right? Peace out.